Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Hello there. Hi. Welcome. It's a Wednesday, the last Wednesday in August of 2014, which is 8/27. And I welcome you. No guest today, just you and me. And I hope that we'll end up having a good time together. I got a few things. I begin with a observation. I've had this observation before. I don't know that I've shared it before. They're waiting for the bus in East Liberty. I used to, there's a big, tall building on Highland Avenue that has since been refurbished into nice apartments. But it had a tree growing out of almost the top floor. There was like sort of a, I don't know what you would call that, a balcony-ish kind of architectural feature around the top of the building. And out of that, this tree emerged. And over the seasons, I would watch this tree, and this tree was hanging in there. And I thought, how odd, because this building was not in good condition. It was obviously not being cared for. And so a seedling from a tree is probably dropped by a bird, created this tree growing in this seemingly totally impossible environment. But there it was. Now, when the building started being refurbished, I thought, oh no, they're going to take that tree. And of course, the tree is not there anymore. And my heart went out to that spunky little tree growing in concrete in a place where it wasn't supposed to be. I couldn't quite figure out. There must have been a crevice it had rooted in, but then where else did those roots go? I don't know. So yesterday, I'm walking from this building, which is on Smithfield, over to Market Square to meet some friends for lunch. And I'm always looking up at the tops of buildings because the tops of these old buildings are so beautiful. And I've often wondered why they made them so beautiful when most people don't look up. Look up, I'm telling you. Unbelievable. And there was one building, I wish I could, it was, on the same block as the Duquesne Club, on the same side as the Duquesne Club, but down further on the corner. And it has incredibly ornate, kind of scrolly thises and that's, and I mean, unbelievable. You could not build a building like that today. I don't think the craftspeople exist, and certainly the cost would be prohibitive, I suppose. But growing out of the top of this building, not quite the top floor again, were 2 or 3 beginnings of little trees. Little trees were growing. Then later in the day, standing at the bus stop on Smithfield, looking up that away toward that magnificent building, the Union Trust building, the one with all that fol-de-rol and the two like mansions sitting on the top of it. There's a tree growing on the top there, and I know that building is in terrible trouble. I mean, in terms of finances. So I just wanted to point out two things. One, if you don't look up when you're in the city, you are missing a glorious display. And two, there's something so incongruous and so wondrous about the indomitability of nature and when given an opportunity. And check out the trees growing out of the tops of buildings that are not maintained. That's all I'm saying. That might be, I mean, it's not like either of these buildings is falling apart, but once you see trees growing out of the upper floors, you know that that building is not in good, is not being cared for. I particularly worry about that Union Trust building because it's got to be one of the most ornate, glorious buildings around. I'm sure there's many of them in Europe or something, but I first time I saw it, I just was in awe. Okay, let's see what else. This is something that could happen to me, I think. Did you see that a flight from, I think it was Newark to Denver this weekend was diverted and landed instead in Chicago? And it was because a fight had broken out between two passengers. Now, first of all, I don't understand why they divert an entire flight for something like this if there are not people who are literally endangered. I mean, I really don't quite get that. But divert it they did. All the people aboard that flight had their plans all screwed up because two of the passengers got themselves into a fight. There's no indication from any of the reports I saw that the fight got physical, although it was a man and a woman, although the woman did throw water at the guy. Okay, this fight, if they're going to start diverting flights and landing them prematurely in cities that are not the original destination because of this kind of a fight, then there's going to be planes landing helter-skelter all over the country because this was a fight over leg room. Anyone who's had the joy of traveling by air in the last 10 years knows that the amount of room that you are buying is shrinking and shrinking. And the incongruity of the fact that the passengers are growing and growing. And I mean in girth. Americans are getting fatter. Airplane seats are getting thinner, shorter. Americans are taller than they've ever been. The amount of room allowed your legs on in a coach seat on most airplanes is simply cruel. Now, this is where tall people are at an extraordinary disadvantage. And I sometimes, before we board a plane, there'll be some guy sitting there tall guy, looks like he's maybe, 6'5". And I think, oh, you poor guy. I'm in trouble. And I ain't 6'5". Jeez. So what happened in this case, apparently, it involved a guy who was in the middle seat, which is already hell. He's in the middle seat, so he's already pressed on two sides by people and fighting over a place to put his arms. Then, knowing that if he's unlucky and there's a jerk sitting in front of him who decides to recline their seat, that he will have absolutely no place to put his legs, or if he wants to have his tray table up and maybe his computer on it to do some work. So sure enough, the woman seated in front of him reclines her seat, or attempts to. Now, I have done this myself. When someone in front of me reclines their seats, I've been known to stick my knees up.
I do that too.
Do you?
On the megabus.
Well, who wouldn't? Stick them up. I would stick my feet up and I'm just desperate. I'm doing anything I can to keep these jerks from taking the little, you have no space. And my knees I've taken, and they keep trying. They go like, and my knees and my feet are, and I have not ever, no one has ever then turned and said, hey, but if they did, I can see where I could get in a bit of a fight. I would never recline my seat if there were someone seated behind me. I would never. You know why? Because I'm not a jerk. So anyway, the jerk, the woman, attempts to recline her seat. The guy is one step ahead of me. He's not using his knees. He's using something that he bought called the Knee Defender.
That's a thing.
It is! $21.95 portable, fits in your little carry-on. And what it does is the minute you sit down, and as soon as you can, you recline you put your tray table down, and what it does is it locks the fold-out tray on in such a way that I guess the seat cannot go down. I don't know exactly how it works, but that's how it was. So this guy had one of those gizmos, and the woman's trying to get her seat back and can't. And she obviously, unlike the people that have been in front of me, gets up and starts complaining. And, one thing leads to another. She apparently, as I said, threw a cup of water at him. And a flight attendant asked him to please remove the knee defender, even though the FAA says they're okay. We don't have it's not an illegal device, but most airlines say you can't use them. So the pilot decides to land in Chicago. The two passengers in the fight were just kicked off. They were not allowed to get on however, continue on to Denver. They were just thrown off. Now, this brings us to a much larger issue. First of all, I cannot imagine anybody siding with the woman who tried to recline her seat. I can't imagine any person who flies not totally identifying with this guy in the middle seat. And we've been talking a bit this week, it seems like, about rapacious capitalism and how American employers chew up their workers, just wring them dry, terrorize them, and then spit them out. It's pretty much the case. And airlines do this to their customers, which, you would think is not a good business model. But then again, they sort of have a monopoly. Because if you want to fly, if you have to get somewhere fast, and they all provide the same lousy service and torture to their paying customers, then the consumer has nowhere to go. So you pay a lot of money to be tortured and to be gotten to some place in a timely fashion, which often doesn't happen either. But at the same time, as I said, Americans are bigger than ever. The amount of space being given to a person who buys a ticket is they're going to shrink it more. You think it can't shrink anymore? Guess what? Where did I see this? Business Week magazine reported that Boeing is making a new version of its very popular 737. I mean, fly on those a lot. As a matter of fact, well, it says right here, it's the most popular jetliner in the world, the 737. When the 737 was introduced in 1967, it had 100 seats on it. The 737 that'll be put out by Boeing next will have 200 seats on it. The plane itself is the same size. Where in 67, 100 people were deemed to fit comfortably in it. Now, 200 people will be crammed in. And when I first read about this next thing I'm going to share with you, I thought it was a joke. I thought it was something maybe that came from The Onion. It's not. A new seating device that Airbus is promoting would replace the seats that we've come to know and loathe on airlines, would replace the cushion on the seat with a bicycle seat, essentially. With a bicycle seat. And there would also be no table that you could take down and no arms. So, no headrest. That's what it is. So can you imagine? They're actually seriously now talking about some planes where you will be given the equivalent of some little bicycle seat that you would sit on. That's all you got. And let's not even bother talking about the price of one of these seats, because they keep making them smaller while the price of what you're paying keeps going up. You would think a business model like this can't work, but it can work in an environment that has become monopolistic. How many airlines are there now, really? I mean, U.S. Air and American are now essentially one. That's not a totally completed union, but they keep disappearing, airlines. It is not I understand it's hard to make money with an airline because of energy costs. I do understand that. But continuing to screw your passengers is just strikes me as, well, inhumane for starters. So I think this kind of a fight will happen with more regularity. It's a wonder it doesn't happen more. And the funny thing about this particular instance, the United flight on Sunday from Newark, was that the two passengers that got in the fight and ended up diverting the plane were in the section called Economy Plus. Go ahead, caller. They actually had more leg room than most of the people on the plane in coach. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, hi. Hello?
Hello? Is Lynn Cullen on today?
Yes. Can you
I
hear?
can't find her.
City paper.
You have to go to City Paper's website.
City Paper website. Okay, thank you.
Okay, bye. Could I get through one measly hour without having our technical deficiencies paraded? Excuse me, I'm sure that was extremely unprofessional. But then the whole setup here is extremely unprofessional. No one cares about my trees. No one cares about my legroom. Poor people trying to find me, and they can't, because that's America today. We'll make it harder for you. Okay, so I get this paper. I get lots of papers. I get this paper. By the way, when the blue bag, it's a blue bag day, I have so many blue bags. It's sort of embarrassing, more than anyone else on the street, even more than people with like 4 children. And it's because of the paper. It's because of all the paper. One of the papers I get is a weekly called The Forward. This is a paper well over 100 years. Okay, we have another call. Let's see what this one brings. Oh, my. Hello.
Hello,
You
Lynn?
Yeah.
Hey, okay. About the innovative seating arrangements.
Yes, sir.
Okay, there was one that I used to fly a lot on business and everything, and I remember running across an article in a magazine, actually while I was flying, and I just broke up. One of the airlines was experimenting with an idea of eliminating seats entirely.
And what, putting us in hammock-like things?
No, well, actually, an inclined board with like a wedgie in it. Yes.
Oh, God.
And you lean against the board and put the wedgie between your legs.
That keeps you from sliding down the board.
Right, and they figured they could double the capacity. How about that?
Oh, God. I think I prefer that to the bicycle seat. I mean, if I had my druthers, at least you could lie down if they had a nice pad and gave you a pillow.
Right. Well, I always thought what they would do next is like kind of put you on a forklift and doors on the side of the plane would open and they would insert you into a slot. But that takes up a lot of room, and you'd probably roll around too. But that would save a lot of space too. But for some reason, the inclined wedgie didn't.
It didn't go, huh?
Didn't go. I don't know if the FAA complained about it or whatever. But yeah. But see, Americans deserve this. They don't want it to change. They really don't. The monopoly's there. The FAA helps the airlines. I mean, I think the airlines are pursuing trying to save gas with, and so are the aircraft makers.
Right.
But the other alternative is what they should be pursuing,
which is,
and that's high-speed rail on the ground, especially
exactly.
for less than 400 or 500-mile flights.
Exactly. When I think, you know what? I just read an article the other day about some businessman who in Texas who has he regularly has to fly or drive from like Austin to Dallas or something, and he's gotten crazy because the flight, if he flies, it often takes longer than if he were to drive. On the other hand, if he drives, he can't get any work done, any this and that. So the article was about how there are these now fancy, dancy buses that you can order up.
Oh, with internet access and everything.
Everything. I mean, conference tables and everything you could possibly want, and somebody on board who tends to your and so you could actually get business done the whole way. You could bring the meeting with you, whatever. You could go back and forth. And I thought, see, but that is, get us back on the ground. But exactly, get us some railroads in this damn backward country.
But there is some progress on it. It's very slow, and it's being fought by the airlines and the whole airline industry. And that is a number of the states are working on regional rail.
Yeah.
Of upgrading it and
yes.
providing cars for people to get business done and everything. And beyond just the commuter thing of like a short hop of like 40 or 50 miles, we're talking about same thing, internet access, able to get your work done and everything, but it'll eliminate flights. And the time is competitive, too, with the amount of time it takes.
Yeah, absolutely. I would take, if there were, for instance, rail service, good rail service between here and Chicago, here in Detroit, here in New York, I'd be on it in a minute.
Right. And, of course, don't even have to mention, the Europeans are, of course, spoiled to death with what they have. Because they have both airlines like we do,
yes,
but they have high-speed rail.
And they also have better roads. And generally speaking. And okay, thank you.
Just my opinion.
Yeah,
thanks.
I'm telling you, we are the priciest third world country in the world. And when it comes to our infrastructure, we really are getting third world, guys. Thank you, Republicans. We don't need no stinking taxes. You don't need no stinking taxes. We're not paying any taxes. I know our bridges are all crumbling. I know our sewer lines are 125 years old. I know. You want me to pay for it? Okay. Sue writes, Lynn, around 10 years ago when our dog was still with us and we walked her daily, my husband and I came across a very small grove of maple trees growing in the gutter along our road. I took those sprouts home and planted them into a bonsai pot, and my gutter grove is still alive and thriving today. Oh, wow. So you mean if you took a maple tree seedling and stuck it in a little pot and kept pinching it, it would look like a miniature maple tree? I guess it would. So you got a little maple grove in a How neat. Okay, here's something I was hoping wouldn't come up, but it's out there then. And since he won't be here till Friday, and he damn well better be here on Friday, Anthony writes, Lynn was reading on Twitter, is it true Chris Potter is leaving City Paper? Yeah. It is true. I know. We all. Geez. Damn. It's a great opportunity for him. He's gone over to the Daily side. He's been hired by the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. They came after him, because they're, I guess, putting together a pretty special unit that will do a lot of serious investigative work. I mean, exactly what anyone who's into journalism really wants to do. And, well, I'll let Chris tell you about it when he's here, but yeah. He had a long run here at City Paper, and shoot. So anyway, yes, that is true. Our dear friend Chris Potter is, the change is constant. It just is. Don't get too comfortable anytime with anything. It keeps changing. And I don't know how much he shared. Did he put that out on Twitter?
He did. Yeah.
He put something out. How come I didn't see that?
It was. I mean,
I could
he's
be. I
been
didn't.
tweeting back and forth with people that work.
Oh,
there.
okay. So that's it. I mean, he struggled with it. He did. I had actually counseled him to go for it. Against my own best interest. So there you have it. That's the sad news. It just bums me out. So anyway. Hey, how about for some comic relief? I was talking about the Forward, this weekly magazine newspaper I get. Very old history. It started as a Yiddish language weekly for the Jews, the immigrant Jews of the late 19th century and into the 20th. And it's still going, and it's a hell of a newspaper. But it has a personal section, where people can look for other people. And I happened to be reading it last night, and I just thought, this is so funny. I don't know why these personals strike me as funnier. But I got 3 I'll share with you. Okay, this is just for either a laugh or sort of a whimsy. This is one that's so sad to me. Listen to this. And try to picture this guy. Hello. I am interested in meeting female for companionship. I'm 5'6", slightly overweight, wear glasses, and bald. And right there, my heart goes out to him, because here's a guy who's being honest. Now, really? I mean, guys who are 5'6", slightly overweight, wear glasses, and bald usually say things like, "Hey, baby, I am a serious hunk. Women swoon at the sight of me. I am gorgeous." So here's this honest guy. I'm 5'6", slightly overweight, wear glasses, and bald. And yet, he says, gym every other day, and not bad looking. Oh, my heart goes out to him. Then he says, I'm a retired teacher. I enjoy old TV programs, old movies, old music. Psychologically, I live in the 20th century. Sometimes I sing in adult homes, old Broadway tunes. That's his thing. That's his entry. Well, I just love this guy. I adore him. I do not want to be in a relationship with him. But that is so refreshingly sweet and honest. I bet someone's going to take him up on it. I don't know. I don't know. And here's another one that's strangely honest and sort of a non sequitur. Divorced Jewish male in his 60s, 210 pounds, 5'10", retired veteran, good health, young looking, playful, and hard of hearing. There's something about playful and hard of hearing. Well, what? Okay, and then he says, I'm looking for a compatible female, I guess a playful, hard of hearing female, to move in with me in my South Jersey apartment. All right. And moving over to the other side where the women are looking for guys, this one is hysterical. This is the essence of Jewish mother. Get this. This is a woman who is placing the ad, not for herself, but to get somebody for not even her daughter, her stepdaughter, okay? This is a busy Jewish woman. Here we go. My 55-year-old Irish stepdaughter is a New York City attorney. She was brought up in our secular Jewish home, and she learned about Jewish life, about Jewish food, Jewish humor, and also great Italian restaurants. Okay. The stepmother goes on. Again, unbelievably honest. Her politics, they're left wing. She loves sports, especially fishing for striped bass, and would make a wonderful companion for some terrific guy. Only terrific guys need reply. I bet that 55-year-old Irish stepdaughter attorney bass fisher person is dying. Because how many people meet that description? Someone in New York City at the law firm where she works has already come across this, and she's being tortured. Margaret writes, Chris Potter's a great guy, and I wish him the best. I'm with you. I'm with you totally there. He is a great guy. And Margaret wants to know, when am I going to meet the retired teacher who sings old show tunes in nursing homes? I don't think I'm going to. There was one from Pennsylvania in here, but what? Hello, caller. Hi.
Yes, good morning, Lynn.
Hi.
Hey, Lynn, I got some good news on the marijuana front.
Yes, sir.
They found out that a couple good benefits of medical marijuana. Number one is we found out there's a 25% lower rate of prescription painkiller overdose deaths on average after implementation of medical marijuana law.
Oh, sure. You're kidding. I mean, they've already seen where medical marijuana is available. The number of ODs from opioids, painkillers, is down that much already.
25%.
That's huge.
So just wanted to give our fellow potheads out there a good heads up.
That's great. Thank you.
Thanks, Lynn.
That's really good
Bye
news. By now. That is good news. It's fantastic. All right. I'm sorry, I was looking for the, Oh, and here's a strange one. I'm sorry, I wasn't going to read this one. But this strikes me as, wow. Listen to this. Holocaust survivor and widower. Resident of New Jersey, loves art and science, wishes to share life with another Holocaust survivor. He must Holocaust survivor. Here's another one, looking for similar survivor. Single, widowed, or divorced, for companionship. Oh, boy. All righty, you know what? I know I don't have to. But, Ms. Jess over there.
Break.
I would like to take a break. I'm just going to yawn a little bit and cool the old brain down. I'll be right back.
Stick around for more with Lynn Cullen Live after this.
Bargains.com is your best bet for great deals in the Berg. Log on today for exclusive bargains from Round Corner Cantina, Wing Arts, Verde, the Pittsburgh Grill, and Garden Dreams Urban Farm. BergBargains.com, Pittsburgh's best bargains. BergBargains.com.
Have the craziest ideas about food. Where do they get this stuff? Like eating Brussels sprouts helps you hit home runs. And eating carrots gives you X-ray vision. It's nuts. And I honestly have no idea where my daughter got this notion that broccoli is the official food of professional ballerinas. Kids, The only reason my 4-year-old loves cantaloupe is because he's convinced it comes from the moon.
One small step for man, lots of potassium for mankind.
And the other day when my oldest came up to me and said, Mom, will eating peas and carrots really help me pull off a fakey frontside ollie with a twist? I look him in the eye and say, it can't hurt, honey. It can't hurt.
Moms everywhere are finding creative ways to help their kids eat 5 servings of fruit and vegetables a day. Get ideas, get involved, get going at letsmove.gov. Brought to you by the USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council.
Download the brand new CP Haps app and find out what's going on in Pittsburgh. It's the fun and free app that puts the most popular events at your fingertips. Text events to 77948 to download now and register to win tickets to PNC Park for Friday, September 12th versus the Cubs. The CP Haps app, brought to you by Pittsburgh City Paper.
Have a question or an opinion? Call Lynn Cullen at 412-316-3381 or email lynn at pghcitypaper.com. Now, more with Lynn Cullen Live.
All right, a few little items just to, amongst ourselves, our community. I'd like you to send out your prayers if you are a prayerful person, or just your good karma if you're a good karma-like person, to one of our community, Laura, who often has written emails during the show and has called a few times. She lives in Michigan, and I know she has undergone this week some pretty scary, horrific surgery. I know she was going to, and she's been in my thoughts, and just send some good energy her way. She's a good woman, really good woman. And also, save the date. I might have said this before, but now I'm getting really serious. November 17. November 17. Write it down in your whatever calendar you keep. November 17th. It's a Monday. And it is the date on which I will be doing a once only, one-woman show on stage at the Cabaret at Theater Square. Tickets are not available yet. I'll certainly let you know when they are. But I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I know it's going to be a lot of fun. You, some of you who've been with me for a long time will already know a lot of the material. But it's never been delivered in this kind of a somewhat professionally packaged manner. It is all proceeds will benefit Planned Parenthood of Western Pennsylvania, and I really would love you to come. I mean, I think I wouldn't invite you if I didn't think you'd have a good time, and I think ticket prices will be reasonable, so that you needn't take out a second mortgage.
When will we be able to get tickets?
I don't know when we'll be able to get tickets. Actually, there's a meeting this Friday that I think I'll have more information. I mean, I'm on the creative side of this endeavor. The other people who are handling the logistical and the blah, 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 I told them I didn't want to have anything to do with it. And this is has turned into an awful lot of work. And I really got stuck behind the 8 ball because of the shoulder troubles and all that. I sort of lost a few months that I had intended to use to ferret through the gazillion hours of video that I have from my television days, some of which is pretty wonderful, pretty funny, memorable, And I still, there's no way I'm going to get through it all now. There's no way. And anyway, there is nothing more horrific than sitting down and watching yourself, your younger self, for hours on end. I mean, it's no way to develop self-esteem, because all you end up doing is catching every little quirk, catching every little, I don't know. I'm good for maybe an hour and a half before I start loathing myself. So it's really hard to do that. Hello.
Hi, Lynn. Good morning. I just want to make a quick comment about your upcoming show.
Yes, sir.
I'm a big supporter of you, has always been, and will be. But one thing that I hope you try to keep in mind that I'm a Catholic, and I would have a hard time donating to that particular cause.
I understand that.
If you tell me you're going to set aside some donations for some other organization, then I will be your paying customer. But I would keep in mind for people like myself that really loves you and what you do, that
I understand.
that we're out here as well. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that, and I do know that obviously some people do not want to give money to Planned Parenthood, and then you shouldn't come to my show. And there's no way for me to designate it to someplace else, because this is something that they are putting on. And okay, so I appreciate that. It could be, if this thing works, that I'll do it again, and for another charity, maybe one more amenable to you, so that you could, in fact, attend. Margaret, thank you. She says her thoughts are going out to Laura. Yeah, I wish I knew how she was. I don't. And Margaret, you're coming to the show. All right. Be there. And the neat thing about having it at the cabaret is you can drink throughout the show, which I highly recommend, so that it, you might enjoy it a little bit better. Well, I was not. Every time I start. Hello.
Yeah, Clarence from Canada.
Yeah, Clarence from Canada. Hi.
I'll be at that show. I'll try my best, unless I'm dead.
Okay, no, I really hope you will.
What's that?
I really hope you will.
Yeah. I would like to see if I can get, my friends and other regular callers to, buy a table or some kind of nonsense.
Oh.
Although they're out of town.
Yes.
I'm going to see if they can be in town.
Well, maybe they
could.
A
lot of money.
Maybe they
for
could.
that day.
Maybe they could. Maybe they could. Thank you. Spread the word.
Oh, I'm going to do, definitely spreading that word. And just one quick thought. Find some other rich person to, buy tickets to to designate the people who want to come to the show but don't want to give.
But I would think if you were
What's that?
Yeah, I would think, though, that if you didn't like the charity that it was supporting, you wouldn't feel like you should be in the audience anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but there are people who don't like the charity.
But they want the yeah.
But they like you.
Yeah, I know.
But they don't want to give money.
Yeah.
So they're not giving money. So they're coming. It's not their money. They're not supporting the charity. They're just supporting you.
Yeah.
Or they want to see you.
Well.
Yeah. So.
I think there'll be enough people that support both me and the charity to fill the place.
Okay.
I hope.
All they got to do is make a YouTube video and make sure they videotape a YouTube video, put it online, and promote the charity continuously throughout history, because I see it all the time.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Well, we will be shooting it. I mean, the show will be, videotaped in such a way that we can put a pretty polished product up.
Yeah, that should be pretty interesting.
I hope. You know all this stuff. You know
it. I know it, but I've seen you, give speeches or whatever, or host things, and, you're pretty funny on stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope. I was sitting out in my backyard yesterday trying to, sort of reading over some part that I'd read, and I thought, this is not funny. Why would anybody want to listen to this? And I had to get up and walk away and walk around for a while and blah, blah, blah. Then I came back, and because I had thought it was funny the day before. So then I came back and I put some energy into reading it. And it's funny if I have energy in it. If I don't, it's not. So it is about being on stage, I think. Mm-hmm. Oh, God, I don't know, being on stage.
Well,
oh, Jesus.
You read, a dating paper, whatever that thing you were reading about, the Jewish paper. You made it interesting. I would have never read it in my head like that.
Oh,
especially the Jewish mother one.
Yeah.
And that made it interesting.
Okay. You're sweet. Thank you. Okay. Bye. And give that sad dog a bone. Well, you see this? This is no surprise to me. I'd never seen this one before, that apparently Allstate Insurance Company, and they do it by virtue of how many car crashes they end up having to deal with, has rated the cities by how good drivers are in the city. And it comes down to the more accidents you get into, the less good you are. And Pittsburgh, folks, out of 200 cities in the country rated, we are so far down. Out of 200, we are 187. We are some of the worst drivers in the country. And this is quantifiable. We're even behind. We're worse than Miami. How can you be worse than Miami when the average driver there is 110? We're worse. God. What else do they say here? I mean, if you look, see, Kansas City is the best. The average driver in Kansas City goes 12 years between fender benders or accidents. That's all averaging out. 12 years. In Pittsburgh, half of that. Pittsburgh drivers, on average, get in an accident every 6.5 years. Ah, geez, that means I'm due. I'm more than due. Worse than us, however, San Francisco drivers, Baltimore drivers, Boston drivers, and D.C. drivers. There you go. And what do I have here? I don't know. I don't know if I brought this story up before. Oh, my God, Laura's written back. Laura, thanks for the good thoughts. Ah! Oh, I'm sorry. You haven't had the surgery. It's been moved due to some test results. Oh, God, you poor darling. Apparently, the surgeon feels another specialist surgeon is needed in the surgery as well. Oh, guess it is worse or more complicated than they originally thought. Oh, Laura. You're a special case, huh? Well, we'll be thinking of you. So the surgery is now on the 24th of September. They're making you wait a month? Wow. Okay. Hang in there. Hang in there. You've been in my thoughts. And I assumed that you had had the surgery, I guess, earlier this week, but okay. I was thinking today of what Tom Sokolowski had said when he quoted Susan Sontag. I don't know why I thought of it. Oh, I know why I thought of it. Because I have a slight medical issue right now, and I was walking in my car, and I thought, it is true. And what she said is, and I'll paraphrase it because I can't remember exactly, but she was saying that there are two separate worlds, two separate universes. When you are in the land of the ill, you are separated from people that you were in the same world with just, last week or something. The minute you fall into that, surgery or recovery or battling some horrible illness, you are removed from that world that keeps on functioning. It keeps on going. The sun comes up, sun goes down, ball games are played, arguments are had, people laugh, people party. And it's a world you don't want to be in. And I know when it's my recent thing, I despaired early on that I would ever see the healthy world again. And, Laura, I hate that you're going to be entering that awful world again, where you're fighting and struggling. And we'll try to be there with you as much as we can. Although, as Sontag said, it's just, once you're out of it, you don't want to think about it, I guess. Hey. Well, I don't know if I brought this up before. I think I did it slightly in passing, but the New York Times did a bigger piece on it today. And it's interesting because it brings up issues that I didn't think there was any possibility of an issue here. But the story suggests that people who otherwise are in agreement with me about helping the poor might say that, hey, this is the best we can get. And this has to do with this fancy schmancy glass high-rise going up on Manhattan's east side, Riverview, where some condos will go for up to $25 million. And the developers who put this up got a tax break because they sort of appended to their glass tower this smaller little 6-story building, sort of in the back and on the side, that will have affordable housing for people making no more than $50,000. Now, in New York, I got to tell you, $50,000 is poverty. It's close to poverty. There's no place to live for $50,000. Would you agree? You can live in Harlem. Okay, you can live in Harlem. But you ain't going to live where this is on the Upper East Side with your neighbors spending $25 million for their condos essentially in the same building. It is the same building, or they couldn't have gotten the tax break. But here's what they did. There's a beautiful door with a doorman and a fancy schmancy lobby that faces the river for the people in the glass tower. Around the corner over there on 61st or something will be another door. No doorman, no fancy schmancy, it's just a door. And that gets you to the poor part of the building. And the fact that this developer gets a tax break putting up a building that has 2 entries, the rich entry and the poor entry, is just immediately offensive to an awful lot of people in including myself. The poor door, it's being called. And apparently this is the kind of thing that goes on all the time. And they're saying that developers aren't going to build any affordable housing if they don't get this kind of perk. And so the developers apparently are in the driver's seat here. So that some people who actually work on this issue of affordable housing are okay with the two doors. Because they say, look, the reality is we got a whole bunch of people now who have nice apartments at an affordable cost in a nice location. And the fact that they don't have access to the gym, they don't have access to the fancy schmancy concierge services available to the fancy schmancy people who also live in the building and go in the other door, well, we'll swallow that. So here's the co-chair of the New York Housing Conference, which is a coalition for affordable housing, and she says, it's so important to build as much affordable housing as possible, and you're always going to have to compromise. I just think the need is so great that you don't need a fancy lobby. So that's somebody who, you know, is probably sympathetic to me the way she responds, and she did not respond and so she said, hey, here's the reality. The rich guys are in charge, okay? And if the only way we can get good housing is by giving those SOBs tax breaks to build affordable housing for regular people. But another guy who is with the Association for Neighborhood and Housing Development said this. Hey, listen, if you choose to have a segregated development, don't use my tax dollars to support that. I'm with him. But they say that there are over 500 cities that have this kind of deal. I'm sure we're one of them. And most supporters of affordable housing have been focused on having these units built in the same neighborhoods with the fancy people, so that lower income people live in neighborhoods that are diversified in that way and can then have the benefits of wealthier neighborhoods, like good schools, like public safety. So some people say that trumps all this other stuff. I just have to say that there's something so repugnant to me about the country we've become. You know, Americans we watch Downton Abbey like it's some world, like some strange world. There's these fancy people of privilege, and then there's these people who serve them. There's nothing exotic about that. It's what's happening in our country. And this is getting real close to upstairs, downstairs. Walking into the building you live in should not be any different based on your income status. To be shunted around to the back is telling you something, isn't it? So, that's the way it is. Ooh, geez, I'm over time. Okay, I'm out. I'm gone. I'm finished. I'm done. Sokolowski, I believe, tomorrow. And Potter Friday. Have a good one.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.